Good morning and welcome to another wee video. I wanted to make this video because it demonstrates a very important action, something that happens in our minds every day, and quite often we do this subconsciously, and moreover we do it subconsciously and don't even realize we're doing it, but it is the source of all distress and the prolonging of anguish and everything else that this action of mind brings about. So, and I want to use the example, I know I wrote a little post out, and it's probably going to be a post or two below this video. I want to use the example of Fraser Anning and that egg boy. I'm sure he's got a real name, but anyway, egg boy for now. So what happened, and this is just in my experience in trying to confront that situation in my mind and what it means to me, even though it doesn't mean anything in the overall scheme of things because of the illusory nature of all form and everything, but because I had a reaction to that happening, which at first was kind of humorous, and then I saw I thought it was funny, really. I mean, it was all sorts of ideas I had about that boy, and like all those thoughts go through your head, but being a bit of an Australian larrikin, hitting someone with an egg is pretty funny. But I don't condone the action, mind you, but in the playing out of what followed after that in the media and in my friends, and I've lost a good friend because of this, or moreover I've lost a good friend because of my assertions that ruffled her feathers. But anyway, so in the playing out of it, there was all this back and forth about good on the boy, Fraser Anning's a dickhead, white supremacist and everything. And then there was all the other side that said Fraser Anning's entitled to his views, and the boy's just a yobbo, and shouldn't be allowed. And I do remember when Julia Gillard, I think it was, got hit with an egg, and the person was thrown through the ringer in the legal system, and I would have thought that people would have learnt from that lesson. But anyway, what happens is, so with the spiritual teaching, right, that I offer, or that I advocate as well, what you're encouraged to do in a worldly situation like that, right, wherein your mind would try to work out which side it's on. Now, can you hear that? Am I with the boy or am I with Fraser? Well, I don't like Fraser because he's a white supremacist, blah, 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 blah. I don't agree with what the boy did because he's this, that, and the other. But somewhere in there, you try to think, well, this is my perspective, this is my position on the situation, and I'm pro the egg boy or pro Fraser, whatever it is. But there is another choice. Right now, the world will always present you the reflections of your own doubt, the reflections of your own denial of the certainty of a united self, or a one self, right? As above in eternity, so on earth, we are all one. But the world reflects back to us a cracked mirror, where we look at the world through either this point of view or that point of view, but never do we get the opportunity presented out there to see the mirror without the crack, right? Because the world is dualistic and holds out that yin and yang thought system again and again and again, and every time we choose for the egg boy or the politician, we perpetuate that thought system and actually promulgate it out into the world, right? So whether you're signing a petition against that politician, or whether you're having your say about the thing, what you're actually doing is not making a decision about those two things or either of those sides. You're actually making a decision for the thought system that you choose to use for yourself, right? So the idea then that I would choose to step back from that situation and not have to make a decision whether I agree with the egg boy or the politician, whether I think this is right or wrong. I don't need to be involved in any of that, right? It's my job as a spiritual aspirant to be in the world but not of it, and therefore to make my choice for my own sense of self, my own inner peace that sees beyond the illusion of a boy with an egg or a politician who might be whatever, and sees only the Christ, right? And in that, I free my mind from the ongoing drama of feeling like I need to have put my 2 cents worth in out there in the world, and I'm able to maintain my sense of inner peace and continue on in the journey of my soul, which is bit by bit in every decision I make like that, in my stepping back, which is solidifying or bringing into alignment my own internal vibration, my own harmonic sense of self, if you like, that eventually becomes, pardon me, a singular vibration where I'm not choosing for the world this or that, yin or yang. I'm choosing for God, or choosing for self-love, which is what God is, all the time, right? Thus, my mind becomes a singular point, or my mind begins to see from a singular point of Christ-minded consciousness. Can you hear that? Which is what that is. So rather than signing petitions or waving placards and carrying on like a pork chop, I'm able to step back, make a choice for my own highest good, which is inner peace. I don't need to put my 2 cents worth in. I'm sure there's enough people out there still doing that. But I can choose for God to maintain my sense of self and go forth to ongoing experiences of self and to that greater alignment, right? You can't serve 2 masters. You can't have a foot in both camps. You can't want God and the world. You can't serve God and mammon, I think it says in the Bible, right? You have to make a choice, which is where mind training is so important, because it's very simple and very easy to step onto that slippery slope and start judging things in the world. This person's a dickhead, that person's a dickhead, or this shouldn't have happened, or that should have happened. Why isn't this happening? Let's complain about stuff. Let's sign petitions and get rid of everything we don't like in the world. It never works. Check your history books. That bloke's going to be replaced by another bloke, and history does repeat. Right? The one thing history teaches us is that it does repeat. So learn the lessons that your spiritual path offers, and it won't repeat in you. Right? And that's about as simple as I can make it, really. So instead of choosing for the world, choose for self-love, choose for God, choose for the wholeness within yourself, right? And that was the other thing. In that choosing, right, be still and allow that choice to have the effect that it is going to bring you, right? One of the things that I really love about spiritual pursuit is that when you constantly, and when you become accustomed to constantly choosing for the Christ in you and the Christ in others, what happens is the old programming, where you once would have chosen for the egg or the poly, the old programming gets kind of erased, right? There's a little shift that happens in your consciousness, and if you are still, and if you allow yourself to receive, that you may then in turn give. If you are still and allow yourself to receive the gift of what that new choice will bring you, you will become aware of not only a happy and deeper sense of alignment to your purpose and your goal and inner peace and everything, but you will be able to enter into a moment of direct communication. Right? Now, I can't tell you what that looks like other than to say that it's a moment of light that happens in your own mind. And when you couple your spiritual aspirations like that and mind training with meditation and prayer and making declarations and things like that, such as this video that I'm making, when you involve yourself fully, it becomes much, much easier in your working life, in your family life and everything, to enter into a moment of true communication within yourself, and then hear within yourself information perhaps, or guidance as to how to proceed through that situation that seems to be presenting itself to you. Right? Now, you're not always going to be welcomed. There's a thing that says, a saying that says, a prophet is never welcome in their own home. And prophet may be a bit of an outdated terminology these days, but you know, nobody likes to know it all. So one of the things that I've learned in my spiritual training, I guess, is not to try and fix anyone or fix anything, but also to be assertive for what you know to be something that you have to do. You know, and whether that brings friends or foes, it doesn't really matter. Everything is then going to present another opportunity to learn and see where you defend yourself against the lessons of love. Right? And that's all that's ever going on here, is the lessons of love. And it can look like an egg and a politician. I'm learning to love myself, or I'm learning to take sides in the world, one or the other. All right, I love you, and it's as simple as that, really. I mean, I think that's a great example. You know, everyone can see it, and I think that's gone global. So if you like this little lesson, please share it and tag people in it. Tagging people, I think, is better than sharing, because I notice some people that are sharing things and they don't get any likes or hits on their wall. I don't know why people are not engaged so much. Maybe I'm just a social media junkie. Might need to look at that. All right, I love you. Take it easy.